I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Come on to the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Can I return it if it doesn't fit?
It always fits. Eventually.
Welcome, movie minglers. It's Maggie.
And Caveman.
And we're back today to talk about the incredible film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie came out in 2022. It was a huge film, both financially and critically. It won a lot of awards.
A lot of awards, and we'll definitely get to all those at the end of the podcast.
Of course, it's a very important movie about mothers and daughters and children and parents in general, generational curses, and finding empathy in those around you. And I will just take a quick moment here to say that I have listened to the very first episode of Movie Mingle, in which I used the words beautiful and moment about every other sentence. So I'm going to try not to do that today.
They are easy words to fall on.
They are.
When you're trying to describe something that is beautiful
and monumentous. We're still learning here, folks. This is only our third episode, so just bear with us as we get kind of the kinks out and get the nerves out and get to become a little more natural talking to you, our wonderful listeners.
Unique New York. Unique New York. This was a pretty insane multiverse type movie. In a time when many other movies are doing the same subject matter with the multiverse. You have multiverse, Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness.
Basically, all of the MCU Phase 4 was very multiversal and insane. Every Spider-Man movie, either animated or live action, to come out in the last, 6 years. But DC also had their own, and even some just regular stories. Non-superhero movies came along to showcase the multiverse. And it's a wonderful idea that there are multiple of us out there in the world right now. But everybody's doing it. And I bet you that in a lot of these other universes, they're also a little bit bored of the multiverse stories.
I think Everything Everywhere All at Once did it the best.
Oh, they absolutely have done it the best. It's an incredible story of family, of love, of hope, and it's sad too. This movie makes me cry so goddamn hard, it's not even funny.
So a little background on the movie. It was written and directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, also known simply as the Daniels in their credits. These are the same directors that made Swiss Army Man, starring Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, which was also quite the wacky story itself. But this film stars the amazingly talented and beautiful, even at 61, Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh could slap me in the face in front of our children, and I would say, "Thank you, Mommy," because I am so in love with her.
What on earth is she on about?
It also stars Ke Huy Quan, who before this, I had only really seen him play characters like Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Data from The Goonies, even though he's been in 20 other films as an actor.
Yeah, but there was a huge gap in his credits because he kind of went behind the scenes and became a production assistant. He was a... He was a
Foley artist on one film, assistant editor on another film.
Didn't he do stunts for people too?
He did stunt coordinate. Actually, speaking of stunt, well, he was a translator for a stunt director on the 2000s X-Men movie. But he's had an interesting career compared to a lot of child stars. You see him in the 80s and then kind of disappear from I would say the general public doesn't know his... Yeah, he kind of disappeared
from the mainstream.
Right.
Yeah, he did things behind the scenes. Sort of like how the actor that plays Chunk in The Goonies, whose name I don't know offhand, became an entertainment lawyer and is actually the entertainment lawyer for Ke Huy Quan.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now we have him in this, and he did season 2 of Loki,
which he was so good in.
And he's also going to be in the newest Kung Fu Panda movie.
Which,
I feel like, I think him being in this movie and getting awards. He got a lot of awards.
Yes, he did.
Not just an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, but many, many awards. But I think obviously that really catapulted his career more than what Indiana Jones and The Goonies ever could.
And I'm also glad that, like, there was a bit of a break. Sorry to interrupt. I'm glad that there was a bit of a break because he is such an incredible actor. We haven't been given time to get tired of him yet. Not that we ever would, but I'm just saying that it was sort of nice that this refreshing new again face came out to portray this character because it felt more real than if that character had just been played by any other actor. Like he kind of came back from nowhere and did a fantastic and well-deserved job. And so, maybe that break was a good thing. He really got to choose the best project to be a part of.
And when he comes back, he's at the perfect age where he's just this lovable, middle-aged man who is so much fun to watch on screen.
Kind of dorky, very sweet.
In this and Loki too, he's just so much fun to watch.
In this movie, he's such a great actor.
We have Jamie Lee Curtis, who I'm always happy to see.
Forever Babe.
Forever Babe. She's hilarious in this movie. She gets to play a few different types of characters, whether they are just a mean IRS agent or some psycho juggernaut coming after them.
Or Hot Dog Fingers Lady.
Or Hot Dog Fingers Lady. And we also have Stephanie Hsu,
who is really, really wonderful and kind of underrated, I would think. I didn't think she got a lot of praise for this role, considering what a great job she does carrying this film. I'm always happy to see Stephanie in any project. She was especially hysterical in an episode of Nora from Queens, where she plays the old family friend Shoo Shoo in an episode that looks back on the grandma's life.
Yeah,
if you haven't watched Nora from Queens, it's a great show.
I love her little part in that, and I love her little part in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, she's a very, very great actress. I'm always happy to see her. And she does an incredible job in this film. Our cat is currently attacking our window, so at any point we might have to stop in. Stop him. What the fuck is he doing? Look at how high he is. He is on top of the window pane.
He is.
Anyways, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a great film. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I've only seen it twice now. Both times it made me feel a lot of things. Both times it was a lot.
Wow.
That's what you get, you asshole.
What are you doing?
He's chasing a fly.
Disconnected.
I was talking with somebody about it today, actually, and they said that while they deeply appreciated the story and the metaphor and kind of everything that the story is overall, the scenes, the way it was filmed, the action, the sharp cuts, all of that was a bit too much for them. So while they enjoyed the message, they didn't necessarily enjoy the journey, which I can appreciate. This film's a lot. You have to be in the right mood to want to watch it. You have to be in the right mood to want to cry, to laugh, to jump out of your seats because there's some spookier moments, and you have to be in the mood to feel things. This isn't personally, I don't think that this is the type of movie you could just throw on in the background while you're doing the dishes or playing on your phone.
No, I mean it's very visual film. I mean, all films are visual, but the way you have to pay attention.
Pay attention.
The editing and sound design makes it so you have to pay attention to really enjoy the movie. Let's get into essentially the story of this movie. A middle-aged Chinese immigrant swept into this insane world of, I'm not sure what exactly.
Of everything. Everywhere. All at once. Yeah, it's kind of, the story starts out with a very normal, very human story of just an immigrant family trying to do the taxes for their business, which is a laundromat, and also dealing with the elderly father, played by James Hong, who is always just a delight to see on film.
Always. So anytime he pops up, great character actor, always fun to watch.
So the movie starts with essentially the big bad being the IRS, which is, the IRS agent, Deirdre, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who they did everything possible in this film to make Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis ugly. And although they succeeded, they also kind of didn't succeed because still complete babes.
Two beautiful women that you can't hide, you can't make them ugly.
With all the yellow sweaters and
hand braces,
and glasses.
Like the clothes that she was wearing is just...
Yeah, you couldn't take away the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is so fucking beautiful. But so the big bad really here is that the IRS is auditing the laundromat because their taxes aren't in order, which makes sense because Michelle Yeoh's character and Wayland, her husband, are very kind of sporadic, maybe? No, that's not the right word.
Free-spirited, but not really.
I don't think they take it seriously. They care, but they don't really care about the IRS. As seen by Michelle Yeoh's character trying to write off expenses for her hobbies, like a karaoke machine. Wayland and Evelyn are they're just very, I don't want to use the term ADHD, although originally Michelle Yeoh's character, Evelyn, was supposed to have undiagnosed ADHD, but they're just kind of all over the place. They're stressed. They're dealing with a lot on their plate, an adult daughter that they don't necessarily approve of of her lifestyle. They have to deal with Evelyn's father, who's in from China, who's ancient and is set in his own ways.
And Evelyn, I mean, we later find out Evelyn is not really enjoying her life working at her husband's laundromat, essentially.
No, they're both, Evelyn and Wayland are very unhappy in their marriage and in their everyday life. And you can really very easily see all of this in the first few minutes.
Well, yeah, just her going through all the different steps she does, which looks like something that she does every morning. She knows exactly where the buckets are, kicking over stools, and everything's going exactly where it needs to go so that she can do the next task, whether it's getting food ready for her father,
finding the laundry that a customer needs, covered in googly eyes because Waymond is precious in every single way. But yeah, it's an unhappy life and an unhappy family at the beginning of this film. And I think that we can all relate to that because to a certain extent, everybody has a family that is weird. Everybody knows those unhappy moments, the fights with husbands, parents that don't approve of, their children and their lives, hiding even a very important storyline, which is the fact that Joy, the daughter of Evelyn and Waymond, is gay, and her family doesn't necessarily seem, or at least her mother doesn't seem, really to approve of it. She misgenders Joy's girlfriend. She doesn't want to introduce him.
And she blames it like this is not the first time Joy has told her, stop misgendering my girlfriend. And her excuse is, well...
I don't speak the language.
Yeah, I don't speak English. And me saying boyfriend doesn't mean, she tries to get out of it. She makes excuses.
She makes excuses. And she also doesn't want to introduce Becky, the girlfriend, to her father because she's worried that her father wouldn't be able to handle the fact that his granddaughter is queer.
Because she grew up with a father that was upset that he had a daughter instead of a son.
Yeah. They fall back on the old trope of introducing the partner as a very good friend. So clearly there's a lot of issues in this family. A lot of sadness, a lot of past guilt that people are still holding on to. And it's a shame, but it's beautifully played by all the actors involved. And all of this comes to a head when they arrive in the Simi Valley IRS station, the Simi Valley IRS office, which is so much bigger than I bet it is in real life.
I don't think I realized from the first time I watched it, or maybe I wasn't really paying attention to taking this whole movie in the first time, everything flashing around you. You're not sure exactly.
Yeah, it's a movie for repeat viewing.
It is. And like we said, we've both only seen this movie twice.
It's a movie that requires repeat viewing.
So many more viewings.
But at the same time, like I said earlier, it's not necessarily a movie that you could just throw on for funsies.
Right.
It's not Thor Ragnarok. This is a film you have to pay attention to.
But I think it was this last time that I realized exactly how much of the whole movie takes place in this IRS building.
I clocked that as well. I think I'd forgotten that it's essentially a journey from the top, because they go up to the top floor to meet with Jamie Lee Curtis's character, down to the bottom. So it's a whole journey around this massive IRS building.
This is You could say the third movie in a row where it deals with going from the top to the bottom.
Explain.
Well, literally they go from the top floor to the bottom.
Parasite.
They're
They're
descend.
in the bottom. They want to reach the top.
They want to reach the top, and then when they do reach the top, they go back to the bottom again.
And then what about Barbie?
Barbie, I would say that women start at the top as far as in a matriarchy.
Yeah.
They go to the bottom because of the patriarchy.
Barbie starts out living in a matriarchy, and she ends up in the patriarchy because she chooses it. Oh,
and then it gets switched around at the end. So that's 3 films in a row so far. So Wayman wants a divorce from Evelyn.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up, that he's so unhappy in his marriage that he's ready to just quit. You know, he's fed up with a wife that doesn't appreciate him and who doesn't really seem to love him.
It's a family with a lot of issues right now. I mean, Evelyn has father issues. Wayman has issues with his wife. And Evelyn doesn't approve of Joy's choices. And Joy doesn't like that her mom is so close-minded.
Wayman wants to divorce Evelyn because she's mean, she's close-minded, and she doesn't give him the time of day, even when he's actively trying to talk to her about their marriage and show her that he wants to get a divorce. She just keeps kind of shooing him away because she's too busy with everything else that she needs to do, and she doesn't pay attention to her husband and his needs.
No, she seems very distant from her husband's needs, from her daughter's needs.
Even her own needs, honestly.
Her own needs. She is putting everything aside, I think, mostly for her father.
Yeah,
her father's in town, and I don't know if this is how she acts all the time before he needed to be taken care of, but she really does respect him a lot, or at least will put everything down to make sure that his needs are met.
I know that culturally, Chinese children and their parents have a different sort of way that they handle each other, the way that they interact with each other, the way that they are supposed to respect each other. It's hard for us to understand, but I know that at least culturally for Chinese children, you have to respect one's parents. You have to give all of your attention as an adult to your elderly parents. They're your elders. You have to show them the most respect. And I know that she also kind of fears her dad. She fears the way that he puts down her life. She realizes that she's a huge disappointment to him, so she's doing everything she can to try to fix that. And I know that culturally we don't quite understand it, but that is a huge part of this film, which is just the way that Asian communities, how their parents and children interact with each other. And that is something that we don't get. But she definitely uses it as a way to ignore literally everyone else and everything else in her life because, the respect from her father, which is something that she will never get, but that need for that respect and that love from her father is what drives her. And also what seems to drive her away from her own child, her own husband, her own life, and the business, too, because clearly the records for the taxes are not well kept. These people aren't putting the effort in that they need to be into any aspect of their lives. And, at the beginning of this film, the first half an hour, which I can admit actually is just a little boring.
The lead up to the IRS building?
I think the lead up to the IRS building. And I don't know if I just wasn't in the right frame of mind or anything, but it was definitely, that first half an hour is a little slow. It's a lot of exposition world building.
It is world building for sure.
Everything changes in the elevator. We meet Alpha Wayman, who is a Wayman from a different universe. He is more advanced than the one that we've come to know. He is kind of stronger and more bold than the one that we've come to know.
Definitely more bold, talks a little faster.
Yeah. He is on the run from an evil multiversal villain named Jobu Tupaki, who is out to destroy everything. All the universes, all the worlds. They're just going to burn it all to the ground for reasons we don't quite know yet. But, of course, in explaining all of this to Evelyn, who is just trying to do her taxes at an IRS building with a very angry Jamie Lee Curtis, it's all very confusing. And this is kind of where the the gleeful madness of this movie starts is watching Evelyn try to figure out exactly what's going on, watching Alpha Wayman and regular Wayman just kind of merge into each other, in and out of each other. And it's a lot of fun, and it kind of culminates in Evelyn punching Deidre, who is played by Jamie Lee Curtis, which starts just a whole host of shit. That's the beginning of the crazy.
Even before they get to Jamie Lee Curtis's desk, Wayman's already in the elevator, opening up that trusty fanny pack, pulling out umbrella, block the security camera, and then loading Michelle Yeoh's brain up with the devices. You see this fun projected image of like a laser scanning her brain.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was really fun.
The
little
multiversal device is just like a Bluetooth speaker.
With all the goofiness, with all the multiverse goofiness of all the things they have to do to gain powers as they do, kind of like, actually, I found even more Matrix crossover
I'm sure.
with this movie.
Yeah, because it's not just that they can press a button on these little headphones and tap into the powers of their other multiversal beings. They have to do something really weird, like when Wayman eats the chapstick. I can taste that chapstick even now.
Oh yeah,
it's like that
strawberry,
waxy cherry,
but it's also just waxy and it sticks in your teeth.
I guarantee you that we have at least a few listeners who definitely ate the Dr. Pepper Lip Smackers lip balm growing up, because I know I did, and I know I'm not alone in that.
I definitely bit into a chapstick one time as a kid.
Only once?
Yeah, it's gross.
it's sure gross. Anywho, so it's the stuff that they do to tap into those multiversal selves.
Which is kind of like when somebody wants the operator to upload their brain with a new ability in the Matrix. They got to do something quick. Hey, I need to learn how to fly a helicopter.
Can we just bring up the fact, before we get into the fighting choreography of this film, which is absolutely stunning. Ke Huy Quan is so good. And I know we've already sung his praises, but he is so good in this film. Not only does he play like the dorky, lovable Wayman just so very well, but all the other versions of Wayman that he plays have a different gravitas to him, a different way that they hold their bodies, and a different way that they feel. And Alpha Wayman, when he's kicking all the ass with his fanny pack, it's just so fucking cool. And I'm pretty sure he did most of those stunts himself, which I absolutely love. He is an incredible actor. So when we first see Jobu Todoroki in the film, we discover that she's actually Joy, a different version of Joy who had been kind of turned into this multiversal villain by her mother in their own particular reality. And she's dead set on destroying the universe by having it sucked in to an Everything Bagel.
Yeah, the first time that they reveal that there's a Everything Bagel, I did not know what movie I just got transported to. I have only seen the Daniels and Swiss Army Man, which a lot of goofiness happens in that movie. So I was expecting some goofiness to happen, but also some fun Michelle Yeoh moments. But the Everything Bagel, I think that was the turning point for me. Like, okay, this is a different kind of movie that we're diving into. Even with all the multiverse stuff and editing, switching from world to world to world, which, that's one thing we could talk about, is just the detail that they go through to show you each one of these worlds when they're only on screen for less than a few seconds each. So many costumes, backgrounds, a little bit of like CG flares thrown in there.
It's a really well made film in that it feels, each universe that you visit feels real.
Like they actually put some thought into every single world, even though it's like, as soon as you see it, it's gone.
And they had a bunch of world ideas that never kind of made it to the film, including one where Evelyn is a piece of pasta. She's a sentient pasta, and her son wants to be thrown against the wall to prove his doneness, which is something that people do with pasta. But yeah, each one of the different worlds, each one of the different Evelyns and Waymans feels very realized. And it feels different, too. You get the actress Evelyn, that gets to just show Michelle Yeoh in her absolute beauty.
Oh man, actual shots of Michelle
Oh yeah.
Yeoh
At one point, she's
at
standing
awards.
in front of a backdrop for. At one point, she's standing in front of the backdrop for Crazy Rich Asians. Like, you can see her at award shows where she's just pure goddess extraordinaire. But in that world, she's not with Wayman. She chose to leave him behind and go on to bigger and better things. There's a world where she loses her eyesight, but she can sing incredibly. There's a world where she's a teppanyaki chef and has to go up against Rakukuni.
Oh my goodness, Rakukuni.
Rakukuni is such wonderful. So I discovered a little tip about Rakukuni today, a little bit of trivia about him.
Let's hear it. I can't wait.
He's voiced by Randy Newman. Randy Newman, who famously did the scores for several Pixar films, is the uncredited voice of Rakukumi. And
Did he do anything with Ratatouille?
no, it was Michael Giacchino who did Ratatouille, but still I love that they got even any Pixar guy to come in to play at that very intentional nod.
But yeah, the raccoon under the chef's hat.
Oh, it's just so
Once
funny.
again, another thing where you just weren't prepared for how silly it gets. But
This
so
movie
smart
is so
too.
out there. It's so goofy. And there's a lot of beauty in those other worlds. I mean, if you want to kind of skip well ahead, which, we can do what we want.
We make up our own rules here.
Yes, we do. The rock world, where everybody's just a rock. Like, I know that there are some days in my everyday life where I wish I was just a rock sitting on the edge of the Mojave Desert watching the sunset. What a life that would be.
Just be a rock
Just be a rock.
is a mantra that I think I'm going to start using. Just
Yeah.
be a rock.
Just be a rock. Just
In
let
this
it
moment,
flow.
yeah, just be a rock.
But no, it's a lovely theory of just taking a moment to sit and bask in the world around you instead of just constantly moving. Like, Jobu Tabaki uses that to try to convince Evelyn that she needs to stand still on occasion, that she needs to stop running around and freaking out and being in constant need of control. She could just sit back and be a rock. And I find that moment, especially between mother and daughter, where they're having that conversation, just stunningly pretty. It's so beautiful. I would have to say that the rock world is definitely my favorite of all the worlds they go to, but I also find a lot of beauty in the world where Evelyn is the movie star, where she's a kung fu fighting movie star.
That's my favorite world.
And we get some really wonderful moments there between Evelyn and Wayman in a different environment. Producing in what most consider the best line of that entire movie, which is when Wayman says to Evelyn that in another life I would have really just enjoyed doing taxes and laundry with you, which goes to show that there is a lot of joy, beauty, sorrow, hope, tragedy, love, loss, and great things in a simple life. And I find joy in that thought, because I feel like a lot of the stories that we are told as human beings are all about being grand, about, big lives and big adventures. But the reality is a lot of us live very simple, straightforward lives, and there's so much joy in that. There's so much wonder and just there's so much humanity in those simple lives, and I think it's stunning. But I like The Rock. I like it when The Rock has the googly eyes, too. I think that's very cute. Can we go back and talk about the Everything Bagel real fast?
Sure. How the opening of it makes it look kind of like a vagina?
They do the international childhood sign of sticking two hands together to make it look like a vagina, which I always found kind of funny because that's not really what a vagina looks like.
It is when you're a kid.
It is when you're a kid. So the first time I saw this movie, I had a thought when we first saw the Everything Bagel, this black hole of a bagel sucking everything in, because it reminded me of a tweet by Nathan Pyle, who's a famed cartoonist. He does the Strange World cartoons, those adorable little aliens that talk about everyday life. But back in 2017, he tweeted, "The fact that we're still here means that no one has had a true Everything Bagel." This movie came out in 2022. I'm not saying he helped inspire a plot twist, but he could have.
It could have.
I mean, he even has artwork that has, a bagel sucking everything into it. So I'm just saying, like, it could have been a little bit of a help there.
I really enjoy a lot of these worlds that they do break to a little bit longer than a few seconds, especially Hot Dogs for Fingers,
Hot dog fingers.
which we get another reference to 2001 Space Odyssey.
How is it that we are at 3 movies so far and 2 of them have had a reference, an homage to 2001 A Space
Between
Odyssey?
2001 Space Odyssey and The Matrix, we can see where they got all their influences from, right? Must
and
be
Nathan
true.
and Nathan Pyle in his tweets. Yeah, I was kind of annoyed to see yet another. In fact, when we both clocked that reference, we looked at each other and went, "Really? Another one?"
Like, oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah, spoiler
Everybody has
alert.
to make a reference to 2001.
We don't like 2001 Space Odyssey. I don't know if that was made abundantly clear during Barbie, but we really don't like that film. So
I like
yay.
the filmmaking aspect of it, but not the story.
Yeah, it was boring and I didn't watch all of it. So sorry, nerds. I love all of the weird things that they have to do to jump. I think we kind of already spoke about this.
We
but
did a little bit, but we didn't get into specifics about some of the stuff they were doing, like paper cuts
Oh, the
right
paper
in
cuts.
between the fingers. We all know paper cuts, and we know that that's the worst
I
place
have
for
a
a paper
cut on my knuckle right now, and every time I bend my finger, it hurts like hell. I got burned at work last week, and it doesn't hurt as badly as a stupid paper cut on my knuckle.
And the fact that he had to do it on purpose, and the first few times he wasn't doing it hard enough, it probably hurt, but he still wasn't doing it hard enough to actually make a cut.
That made my stomach queasy.
So squeamish. And I usually don't get squeamish for movies, but that was making me
I think
extra
in one of
squeamish.
the instances, one of them had to chug half and half, which I don't think is that weird because I too would chug half and half
If I had to, that one's not as hard as... I'd rather
I
chug half
would.
and half.
just for fun.
Oh, I know you would.
I fucking love half and half.
But I would do it before I had to self-inflict paper cuts onto my fingers.
Oh, easily. I'd take the absolute terror that your stomach would be in after chugging half and half over paper cutting your fingers. This movie as a whole has real Bugs Bunny physics vibes. Like, this world lives in the physics of Bugs Bunny, and I am here for that. I always wanted to live in the acne world.
Yeah, definitely Bugs Bunny, Roger Rabbit, that kind of wacky. I'm going to hit you over the head with a hammer and you're going to survive, which I really enjoyed the psych out that they did it, I guess, around the half.
Yeah, kind of at the end of the second act.
Once she dies.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the credits start rolling.
Which was ballsy and they should have just kept. I'm not going to lie. I think
Just end it right there?
If they had just ended it there, that would have been a ballsy move. It would not be the movie that we were sitting here talking about today. It would have been on other podcasts, like How Did This Get Made? But it would have been a ballsy move to just shut it down then and there. And then they could have played the whole credits, and then everything after could have been a very long end credit
Big
sequence.
end credit scene that doesn't end.
That's a genius idea.
But the fact that it said directed by the Daniels at the end,
Mm-hmm.
or I should say the middle. And so at first, of course, you're like, wait, what? And then you realize that it's just a psych out. But I think this is this part of the movie where I enjoyed everything that happens after this. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
everything leading up to it I was enjoying, but this really...
It becomes
movie
the
really
emotional
takes off.
climax, of the film after that certain point, because, Evelyn kind of does go through a rebirth in that moment where she has to come to terms with everything that she's done right and wrong in her life. I mean, for all the joy and the love that she had for Wayman, that's now gone, for all the joy and hope she had for Joy, which is now kind of gone. She really had to come to terms with the love that she has for her family and actually finally fight for her family, whereas before she definitely wasn't. Caveman, you're a parent.
I believe I am, yes.
Yes. Would you let half the universe get destroyed to save one of our children?
Wow, that's a
Because I would in a heartbeat.
big-ass question.
I think that most mothers out there, I can't say all because obviously there's always going to be some bad eggs, but most moms out there would literally destroy a planet if it meant saving their children. I would let half this earth burn if it meant saving one of our goons. And I have no regrets about that. So the fact that Evelyn went through hell and literally had to fight the most evil version of her own child, which she succeeded through love, honestly. It's a beautiful story that way. But, she did everything that she had to save her kid, because that's what a parent does. And I think that after her rebirth, that's when she finally kind of realizes that, like, this is what I have to do, and I'm going to do it. And, at great distress to herself, tapping into all those different versions of her is really hard, but really funny. Like the Pinky fight and the slap fight and that guy ramming that award right up his butthole. There's a lot of goofiness. But
oh man, those awards.
Those
First of all,
awards.
the fact I thought it was funny that the IRS gives their employees
butt plugs.
a butt plug for an award, or at least an award, a butt plug shaped award, where you can literally good job. Here's your award. Now shove it up your ass and get back to work.
If the IRS or any government agency gave awards like that out to their employees, it would be an instant meme that no one would ever live down. What an incredible thing. Just here, you did a great job. Have a giant butt plug. But I would still take one if it meant saving my kids. So going back to A Mother's Love, it knows no bounds and it knows no end. And it was very beautiful to see Evelyn stop at nothing to try to convince Joy that life was worth living. I also really enjoyed the fact that while Evelyn is coming to terms with becoming the mom she always should have been, which was, putting her daughter over herself in a way, but also she started to see the joy and the loveliness that is Waymond. Waymond is such a kind and wonderful character, and all he wants is for Evelyn to learn a little empathy. He wants her to learn kindness. He wants her to be the woman that she used to be. I think probably the woman that he fell in love with, who was lost over the years. And they get to enjoy, she gets to see the beauty of that character, of her husband, and who he's been this whole time, which is, a bit of a goofball, but also a rock for her, a rock that she was ignoring for far too long. So watching her fall back in love with Waymond, I thought, was a really lovely sequence.
You were talking about the world with where Evelyn is the actress, and you get that really wonderful moment of Michelle Yeoh and
Ki
Kwan, and the two of them are having this great moment together, and he's got some great dialogue, and possibly could be the same dialogue that got him an Oscar. And because this is the first time where his character finally slows down. He's not kicking and punching. He's not running around
kind of the
being a
damsel in distress.
goofball. A lot of people can do that, but he had some really good lines and some really good moments throughout the movie, not just in this one scene with the actress version of Evelyn, but the man won an Oscar, a Golden Globe, a SAG Award, a BAFTA, and 72 more awards from other award shows.
He had to get a new shelf. It shows the beautiful joy of a simple life. It shows that simple lives can be fulfilling, that small lives where you just go about your daily routine, but you go about it with happiness and with love, with empathy and humor and joy. Those are the best lives lived. We can't all be adventurers. We can't all go out and scale mountains or fight monsters or beat up bad people. A lot of us, most of us, just live a simple life, and you can approach it in two very different ways, which is finding the joy, the beauty, the humor, the love in those lives, or hating it because it's not the big adventure that we're kind of promised because of stories. A small life can be a big thing. It can be just taking care of your community, taking care of your children, taking care of your family, and finding all of the best parts of life in those moments. Or a small life can be small. So it does depend on each person. In this case, I think that Waymond represents, the type of person that can enjoy a small life, a simple life. Whereas Evelyn always wanted more, but she wanted more to appease her own father because her father wanted more for her. And it's really hard to live under the kind of oppressive thumb of a parent that expects more of you. I think a lot of us can really appreciate that and understand what it feels like to be under the thumb of a parent that isn't kind, that isn't understanding, that isn't acceptive of who you are, but can't get out of their heads who you should be in their eyes. If you look at Evelyn and Joy is this character who, she's queer, she's just trying to live her life, she has tattoos, she just wants her mother's acceptance. But through that, she's searching for her mother's love. And the story then goes into showing you that Evelyn just wanted her father's acceptance, but she really just wanted her father's love, that her father didn't necessarily love Evelyn because Evelyn wasn't the child that he was expecting. And so he withheld, love and affection from her and respect from her. And so she sought that her whole life, and it kind of destroyed her. And then she unwittingly passed that down to Joy. And now here is Joy trying to fight through all the bullshit just to get her mother's love and acceptance because she doesn't feel it. And Evelyn feels like she's giving it, but she doesn't understand that she's not, which is another kind of pitfall for parents, especially, let's say it, boomers. I think a lot of boomers had a hard time kind of showing their kids the love and respect that they needed when their kids became adults, when their kids became the adults that we all are today. They didn't know how to handle their own emotions, their own feelings. They didn't know how to handle their own traumas and rough patches and the ins and outs of their own lives. So they buried it down, but those things can't be buried. So it all kind of spewed up onto their children, especially their adult children. I know from experience what it feels like to not necessarily have the respect of a parent. And it fucking sucks, man. At least in Evelyn's case, she came to understand, how it was all through her own journeys, and it was all through her fighting with Jobu Tabaki to finally kind of come to the point where she understood what she was doing to Joy. And she had to make the conscious effort to change. And there's a lot of beauty in that, but there's a lot of heartfelt emotions in that. And I think that that's the point that I always start crying, because not only as a daughter do I, as a child, do I feel that with my own parents, but then as a parent, I look at my own children and I think, well, how can I do better for them? This movie makes me want to be a better parent. Although I'm not that bad right now, but, we all could be better. Both directors have cameos in this movie. Did you know that?
I knew at least one of them did. I know Daniel Scheinert was the director, or he played the district manager,
yes,
who later gets spanked by Michelle Yeoh.
Which, oh my God, lucky him. And then Daniel Kwan plays a mugger at one point in the film, too. So they both
That's the one I didn't know about.
Yeah, they both have cameos in the film, which I always enjoy, a directorial cameo. Can we talk about Harry Shun Jr., who plays the guy being controlled by Rakukuni? He does an incredible job. His part is so small, but he's so funny when he's just sitting there completely devastated that Rakukuni has been taken away. And then when Michelle Yeoh hops on his shoulders.
That was funny. Who's the actor?
Harry Shun Jr. is, he's a famous actor. He was in Crazy Rich Asians as the hot boyfriend. He's done some other things as well, but he's just this incredibly talented, very handsome actor who's been in a couple things with Michelle Yeoh. But I can pull up his IMDb here if you really want to deep dive into it. But I thought he was just really fun in the movie. His portrayal of his love and his need for Rakukuni is very enjoyable. Yeah, he was in Glee and Step Up 2, The Streets. Oh, great movie that is. Missed that one. The fun part about this podcast so far, Caveman, is that I feel like we have been jumping around in our own little multiverse of notes and themes. We're definitely not going in order.
We are not linear.
We're not linear on here. Oh, can we talk about Jenny Slate?
Yeah.
Jenny Slate is incredible. I think she is just absolutely darling and so funny in everything she does. She was in one of my most favorite underrated skits on SNL where she is a doorbell salesman. She dated Chris Evans, for God's sakes. Jenny Slate is everything, and I say good for her. She got to be a fun little part of this movie where she tries to beat up Evelyn with her puppy. And
man.
But then I also found it really sweet that she ended up coming to the Lunar New Year party.
Oh, yeah, the character shows up later.
The character shows up at the Lunar New Year party at the laundromat.
Right. After, like, when she's invited to it, you think she's just blowing it off. She's like, what?
Yeah, she's like,
why
well,
am I? I'm not
going
going to come to some Lunar New Year party.
But then she shows
And then
up
she's
anyways.
there,
And
yeah.
I found that incredibly sweet that her character would go and support her local cleaners like that.
What about the relationship between Evelyn and in the hot dog finger world? You got
Evelyn and Deirdre?
And Deirdre
As lovers with their hot dog
oh my
fingers.
goodness, I was so happy for them that they got to find each other.
You know what? I'm really happy for them too. I think it's sweet. And I think that you saw it in the hot dog universe as well, that Evelyn is not necessarily a good romantic partner because she wasn't being attentive to Deirdre and Deirdre's needs in that world either. And she kind of had to come to terms with that and find her way back to Deirdre. When they're playing piano together with their feet, when they're awkwardly stuffing their hot dog fingers into each other's mouths.
Oh man. And then what was the explosion of ketchup and mustard?
I really hope that wasn't supposed to be something
I don't
sexual
know.
because I want to be able to eat a Costco hot dog.
It was
again.
really fast. They flashed by itself, and they probably for the best.
It really probably is for best. Because
Ruin
again,
hot dogs for everybody.
please don't ruin the Costco hot dog for me.
Because so much happens in this movie.
So much, and it's again.
And it's more of a visual. It's hard to describe the visual, especially
and we
when
could sit here and go beat by beat, but ultimately the point
I really
of this
want
film,
to freeze frame if I could. And you
feel
know
free
me.
to do that without me.
Yeah, I'm going to freeze frame every world and take
One
a
day-
screenshot and post. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it.
And one day when I go to hang out with my friends and you're home by yourself while the kids are at school, you feel free to do that and have fun because
That's a lot. I
couldn't
have other
handle
things
that.
I need to do.
Yeah, we all have other things we do, but you could do that with this film.
I'm sure somebody else
There
already
are
has.
so many Easter
I'm sure
eggs.
I could
So many
probably
little
just
things.
Google it.
You want to know another fun Easter egg? By the way, I am bringing up a lot of trivia that I got off of IMDb because IMDb is the GOAT and their trivia section is the best. I routinely go to it after watching any movie or TV show
Man,
ever.
they really should be a sponsor of ours.
They really should. Hey, IMDb and Letterboxd, like, hit a girl up.
Free publicity. from us.
movieminglepod@gmail.com. Come on, guys. We like stuff. We like your stuff. But on the Letterboxd page for Everything Everywhere All at Once, instead of it being a regular eye that you click on to show that you've watched this movie, it's a googly eye.
Googly eye? That's fun.
And I also thought that it was really cute that during award seasons, they all wore googly eyes as accessories on their different outfits. Because, googly eyes are important both to this movie and to everyday joy in life.
So that brings us to kind of the
Climax
of the film.
Yeah, where Evelyn is desperately trying to make it up the stairs to stop Jobu Tabaki from entering the Everything Bagel and thus ending her own life. And what's really stunning is that they intercut this kind of madcap scene of her lovingly fighting all these different people because she's not beating them up. She's just sort of incapacitating them with kindness and empathy, which is what Wayman wants her to do. But all of that is being intercut with a conversation she's having that Evelyn, the real Evelyn, is having with her daughter Joy about just what Joy needs and what Joy wants and what she wants, what she requires from her mother to continue kind of a place in her life. And, she wants her grandpa to know that she's gay. She wants her mom to just appreciate who she is, which is a normal, everyday, fucked up human being. And through all of this, Evelyn finally comes to understand that she does need to appreciate her child, that she needs to accept her for who she is and what she is. And, at the same time, Alpha Evelyn is not beating the crap out of a bunch of people standing in her way, but actually killing them with kindness, so to speak. And that's how she's able to save the multiverse, is with kindness, with love and accepting. And I think that is just it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Like I said, this movie makes me want to be a better person. And it makes me happy with my small life. Because I'm okay with that. And it also kind of goes to show that generational curses fuck all of us up. All of us suffer in one way or another based on what our ancestors have gone through. Even if it's just as short back as our own parents and their parents. And I think that it's beautiful that with Everything Everywhere All at Once and Encanto and Moana. And there have been a lot of stories out there where women, it's almost all women, very female characters, have to overcome the generational curses that have been put on them and succeed for a better life. And, that's something that we as modern people are coming to understand too. And it's hard, but, movies like this make it feel like it's worth it, I think. Like I said, this movie makes you want to be better. It makes you want to fix those problems. How do you like the ending, Caveman? What are your thoughts on all of these things I've been ranting about at length, generational curses and mother-daughter relationships and whatnot? What are your thoughts there?
My thoughts on this movie, first of all, I really enjoy it from the fun editing they do, the sound design.
The sound design is so good.
The music, the special effects, whether they're practical or they introduce some CG here and there. I mean, it's funny, wacky. It's all over the place, but in a way that you can understand. Like it.
Unlike this podcast.
It's fun. We are all over the place in this podcast and all future podcasts.
Yeah, no, this is a part of the Maggie Caveman experience. It's a little off the rails, but ultimately it's fun.
This movie is also fun because it does the multiverse really well. It also tells a great family story. You've got parents that aren't getting along. They're ignoring each other, but they're also ignoring their child. The child just wants some attention, but in a way of, not because they're greedy, but because she's in a relationship, but her parents don't understand that relationship. At least the mom does not understand the relationship. They're all very human things, a very human story told in a really outrageous way. The Everything Bagel is hilarious. There's a quote I really liked from Margaret Lockyer that said, "The bagel represents the notion that when you look at life, there's nothing but a pointless void to see. The hole in the center of the bagel is a metaphor for her feelings of nothingness and the general sense of emptiness in the face of basic existence. It's an existential crisis manifested into a baked good."
Or it's just a bagel. And maybe that's what the true takeaway of this film is that it can either be an existential crisis and a life-changing adventure, or it's just a bagel.
Which is why you just need to remember, just be a rock.
Just be a rock. I would definitely, personally, give this movie a solid 4 out of 5 in terms of rating. It's a great film. It's not a film I'm going to rewatch time and time and time again. It's not my favorite movie that I've ever seen, but I'm definitely better off for having seen it.
I would definitely give this movie 4 out of 5 stars as well. Fun and interesting story, really well told in a fun way.
Beautifully put together.
A lot of heart. As far as its awards go, it won 402 awards.
Insane.
Including 11 nominations at the Academy Awards, and they ended up winning 7 Oscars. And those Oscars went to Original Screenplay, Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Editing, and then Michelle Yeoh for Lead Actress, and Jamie Lee Curtis for Supporting Actress, and of course, Ke Huy Quan for Supporting Actor.
I still think Stephanie Sue deserved something, but,
It would have been fun if they did a complete sweep of the actor and actress.
I don't think any
awards.
movie has ever done that.
If they did, I don't know.
No. A great film and well-deserved for all of its awards, for sure.
And that was Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And, certain things always come to you and you're like, oh, I want to talk about that. And then it kind of jumps you ahead.
We'll finish recording and I'll be like, I completely forgot to bring up.
Oh, wait, I was going to.
Yeah.
But thanks for being with us during this fun time looking back at an Academy Award-winning film.
This is the 3rd movie on our list, too. So that's
this
done
is
and
number
dusted.
3. So we're done with 3.
And the next film that we are going to choose
Next film is an animated film, since every 4th film is animated. And that's going to be Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away.
Walt Disney Studios presents a Studio Ghibli film.
Honey, don't take a shortcut. You always get us lost.
From master filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki.
What is it?
Come on, let's go in. I want to see what's on the other side.
Where are you going? Hey! You said just a quick look! Now let's go back!
You shouldn't be here. Get out of here, now!
What?
Leave before it gets dark. You've got to get across the river. Go! I'll distract them. Don't be afraid. I'm Master Haku.
No!
I just want to help you.
No!
And that's been our podcast for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Thank you so much for listening, Minglers. We desperately appreciate it. Please follow us on Instagram at movieminglepod. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to us at movieminglepod@gmail.com. Again, that's moviemingle, MINGLE, @gmail.com. Also, again, thank you so much for just bearing with us and our nerves and our wackiness as we get through getting comfortable and used to this whole podcasting system. If you've made it this far, we appreciate you and we love you and we can't wait to share more with you. Have a great day. Now go mingle.
Are you an effective team?
We are an effective team.
Let them fight.
How did you just do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
Here on Caladan, we've ruled by air power and sea power. On Arrakis, we need to cultivate desert power.
Welcome, Mr. Beach. What's that bond? I'm a little confused.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we?
I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great! Thank you! What is that?
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Toga, 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 toga.